If you lost your memory, who would you trust to tell you who you are? Is a line I stole from a TikTok my friend sent me that had me pondering about myself and the various facets in which I exist in people's lives, but also about this one romance anime that I can never seem to get out of my head.
In conclusion, I leave you with this. All you fools who delight in youth, drop dead.
Hikigaya Hachiman is an extremely cynical person, someone who refuses to partake in teen romance and friendship, believing himself to be better than the social life everyone else joins in on. On the other hand, Hayama Hayato is the complete opposite. Captain of the soccer club, son of a wealthy family, and the most popular student. Yet despite their quite polarizing lives, it's in direct comparison that their stories give view both to the sided coin of superficiality and genuineness. One of my favorite moments in the series that separates our two male protagonists is in Season 1, Episode 12, where Sagami, the girl running the school's festival, does a dogshit job at holding the event. She pushes all her responsibilities onto Yuki Noshida, leaves when she has to do the most important speech of all time, and seeks comfort and attention when her classmates find her for consolation. Our joyful protagonist Hachiman hates people who put up a mask and hide who they are. It's why he dislikes the superficiality of social circles, and also why he hates Sagami. When she's crying and pitying herself, almost non-verbally begging for the people around her to console her tears, she doesn't care about the words she's saying. She just wants anyone to tell her she's done well in holding the event, searching for attention to fill the gap caused by her inferiority towards Yuki Noshida. Hayama, being the perfect benevolent man that he is known to be, obviously reaches out to her. He is the nice guy, giving his hand and support to wait for her, regardless of and in knowing of the terrible things she has done. On the other hand, Hachiman, who verbally annihilates her, is fighting for what he thinks is right by being true to himself, ignoring the masks that people wear when socializing and bearing everything head on. Hayama's act of stopping Hachiman is both to protect Sagami from the hurtful words, but also to protect himself. Even if he's aware every word Hachiman says is correct, the mask Hayama has taken is one where he must act out in the perfect way, a standard he has to uphold for the sake of performance, even if he himself doesn't believe in it. And it's this very standard that Hayama adheres to that causes him the most duress throughout the series' runtime, agonizing over his decision to be Hayama Hayato or himself.
結構好きなんだ。だから、それで壊れるくらいなら、もともとその程度のもんなんじゃねえの。
In Season 2, Hayama's friend group is on the brink of collapse due to an incoming confession that would lead to an awkward and incompatible environment. Hayama and a couple of friends within the group wish for things to stay as they are, knowing that Tobei's confession would essentially ruin it all, so he seeks help from Hachiman. Hachiman ultimately longs for authentic bonds and is put off by Hayama's group because their whole existence is proof of Hachiman's view, a group relationship that is solely dependent on fake bonds, and Hayama, who willingly chooses superficiality over everything else. Unlike Hachiman, Hayama doesn't find his relationships to be superficial or intangible simply because his friends aren't acting completely honest. Maintaining their relationship as it is doesn't mean that something is wrong. In fact, he wishes to preserve that feeling and happiness that everyone shares, even if it weren't real. And though Hayama is statistically living a socially better life than Hachiman in every possible way, he still feels a sense of inferiority towards Hachiman in his sense of freedom. That is until the end of Season 2, where he finally makes a decision for himself in the most selfish way he can.
Even so, I refuse to choose anything. I truly think that's the best way to deal with things, you know?
Hayama isn't just a puppet that has a smile constantly plastered on his face, but a character who is constantly thinking and comparing himself to others. His refusal of choice is a decision in and of itself, proving that this is the path he believes in. He wishes to be the perfect example to everyone, maintain all the relationships he's built up to this point, and refuse to throw anything away because that's who he is. In a way, the mask he's been donning his entire life has finalized into who he is as a person, and he's ultimately accepted that. Though Hayama's choice isn't one I can willingly support, I can at least understand the way in which he decides to live and how him acting as himself might be the only way he can actually be honest.
大事だから、失いたくないから、隠して、装って。だから誰もが嘘をつく。けれど、一番の大嘘つきは、俺だった。
Hachiman's distrust and hate for general social atmospheres is mainly linked towards his own resentment with past relationships and emotional pain. Yet we know Hachiman isn't a character that is simply detached, because he shows real care for the people around him, constantly intervening despite his own faults in solving their problems. Essentially, Hachiman hates shallow developments, both because of his past, but also because it's something he's constantly doing. He's always pushing people away and refusing to build real connections because he's afraid of the hurt that will come along with it. His acts of both berating Sagami and interrupting Tobi's confession accomplished his goals, but only worked through his own self-sacrifice, unknowingly stopping himself from fostering the connections that require him to be genuine, not just to the people around him, but also to himself. Intertwined, though these characters seem extremely different and have opposing ideals, the actual implication of their actions leads to similar results. Hayama forms an ideal version of himself, a personality that will essentially bring the people around him closer, but pushes his actual self further away. Hachiman's self-isolating and deprecating personality that distances him from everyone is becoming of the thing he hates the most, a shield that hides his real wishes of wanting actual connection. It's the same exact superficiality that he hates so much. Both characters mask their feelings, one finding solace in it while the other needs that pain to eventually grow. It's only a season later, in arguably one of the best scenes in the show, that Hachiman finally sheds his mask, leaving his own personal desires in the open. Finally opening himself up to the people around him so that he can reach for the relationship he's always so desperately wanted. The story's nickname, coined Oregairu after the Go Home and Be a Family Man Gaile meme from the Street Fighter series, directly translates into I, Gairu, which is a double meaning to the nickname, being both a funny reference that doesn't actually mean anything and the actual translation saying I'm here. Interpreting this into the context of this video and ignoring the other translations that give way to the title's more reasonable ways of being interpreted, I view it as Hachiman and every other character finalizing themselves as a person. I'm here, this is who I am, and thus who I will continue to be. Hayama makes his decision to maintain his mask while Hachiman ditches it in pursuit of something truly genuine. So if I were to ask you the question from the beginning of this video, if you lost your memory, who would you trust to tell you who you are? Whose path would you follow? Will you don the idealistic and perfect character of Hayama Hayato, where everyone gladly accepts you as part of their group, yet may never know who you really are? Or be like Hikigaya Hachiman, ditching all your facades completely, pushing for relationships that require your own vulnerability and trust? Because in my ideal world, even though only I would know myself the best, I still want everyone who answers not to describe varying versions of me, but just me. The singular version of me that is truly honest to everyone I talk to, free of deception and superficiality, because really all I want is something genuine.
俺は君が嫌いだ。
一つ言い忘れてた。俺もお前が嫌いだよ。
そうか。そうやって面と向かって言われたのは初めてかもしれない。